Game shows have been a staple of television essentially since its earliest days. For decades, it was impossible to turn on the TV and not see a game show, especially during daytime hours. Game shows seemed unstoppable. Then in 1991, all of a sudden, things changed. The game show world would see a dramatic decrease in shows with very few new shows created in their wake, leaving talk shows like Jerry Springer to take over syndicated daytime. Today I present to you the canceled game shows of 1991. Chain Reaction. This show of putting words together into a chain was a reboot of an NBC show from several years prior. The Global Television Network / USA Network version began in 1986 and was originally hosted by Blake Emmons and then later by Jeff Edwards, as well as be announced and co-hosted by Rod Charlebois. In 1990, the show would be rebranded into a tournament version called the $40,000 Chain Reaction. It would, however, end its run on December 27th. Chain Reaction would return though 15 years later when a new version of the show would air on GSN in 2006 starring Dylan Lane. The Challengers. Loosely based on the Who, What, or Where game, The Challengers was a syndicated show that premiered in 1990. Hosted by Dick Clark, The Challengers would feature many questions that were topical in nature and taken from Newsweek. The show only lasted just under a year with new episodes ceasing to air on August 2nd. No version of the Who, What, or Where game has been attempted since. Classic Concentration. One of my all-time favorite game shows, hosted by the legendary Alex Trebek, this show premiered in 1987 for NBC. The show would end its run on September 20th. Surprisingly, there has been no new version of the show in the United States since. In 2013, I personally asked Alex himself if Concentration would ever be revisited, and he said likely not. The only version of the show to exist since was in Vietnam, which lasted for 4 years. Wheel of Fortune. The daytime version of Wheel of Fortune wasn't just cancelled once, but 2 separate times leading up to its final demise in September of 1991. The Bob Goen hosted version of the show ended after 2 years on CBS. When it returned to NBC in January of that year, it only lasted approximately 9 months. Wheel of Fortune has continued solely in primetime since. USA Gonzo Games. This unique show, which featured 5 males and 5 females competing for, well, nothing, was the first game show hosted by Mark L. Wahlberg. It would only last a few weeks in the fall of 1991. Get the picture. This Nickelodeon show ran from March until December of 1991. The show featured questions and physical challenges and was hosted by a young Mike O'Malley. Although the show did end new episodes in 1991, there have been several periods where the show would air in reruns as recently as 2009. There have also been international versions including in the UK and in the Netherlands. Funhouse. Another one of my favorite game shows of all time, Funhouse ran on syndication and then later on Fox for 375 episodes across 3 seasons. Hosted by J.D. Roth, the game featured kid contestants in physical challenge games, and then the winning team would enter the Funhouse, which was a spectacular structure of obstacles. Its run ended on April 13th. Although there have been many physical challenge type games since, there has never been another Funhouse. Clash. This was a show hosted by Billy Kimball, where contestants were selected based on religion, ethnicity, or other very personal comparisons. Originally airing on Ha and then later on Comedy Central, this show would see its end just before the end of the year, and no attempt to revisit the series has ever occurred. The Krypton Factor. This show, hosted by Willie Ames, would feature 4 contestants competing in rounds focused on skills such as intelligence, observation, physical ability, and general knowledge. The syndicated series was relatively short-lived, ending its run in the spring of 1991. I cannot recall any version of the show existing since. Outta here. Not much remains of this Nickelodeon game show that aired from August 1990 to January 4th, 1991. The show was announced by Greg Lee, who would later become the host of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. Teen Win, Lose, or Draw. A youth version of the popular drawing show aired on the Disney Channel from 1989 to April 27, 1991. Hosted by Mark Price, the show would remain in reruns, however, until 1992. Although there have been drawing shows since, Win, Lose, or Draw would not see any reboots under that name. The $100,000 Pyramid. Although this show has come and gone through the years, Pyramid would see a massive hiatus after the cancellation of the 1991 syndicated version hosted by John Davidson. It wouldn't be until 2002, 11 years later, that a new syndicated version of the show would premiere, this time hosted by Donny Osmond. The 1991 version ended on December 6th. Today, Pyramid has been hosted by Michael Strahan on ABC since 2016. The Joker's Wild. The show made famous by Jack Barry was brought back for a new syndicated version in 1990, this time with a team led by Jack's sons, Jonathan and Douglas Barry. This version, hosted by Pat Finn, would be the last version of the show to air until 2017, when it was hosted by Snoop Dogg on TBS and later TNT. Trump Card. This game show, based on Bob's Full House, a show from the UK, was part of the same block of new syndicated shows that included The Challengers and The Joker's Wild. Taking place from Trump Castle in Atlantic City, this show, hosted by Miami Dolphins legend Jimmy Cefalo, ran until May 24th. To Tell the Truth. The classic panel game of two liars and one truth teller saw a short-lived revisitation in 1990 to 1991. This version was a complete disaster, as it wasn't able to secure a regular host during its entire run, from its pilots to its conclusion on May 31st. The show would enter a 9-year hiatus, with a new syndicated version debuting in 2000 with John O'Hurley as host. Today, new episodes run on ABC, hosted by Anthony Anderson. Let's Make a Deal. The legendary show made famous by Monty Hall was hosted by Bob Hilton in a syndicated 1990 version, this time produced by Ron Greenberg and Dick Clark. This version only lasted a few months, ending its run on January 4th. A 2003 version hosted by Billy Bush would last for just a few weeks. However, in 2009, CBS would pick up the series with Wayne Brady at the helm, where it has enjoyed great popularity since as one of the top-rated shows on daytime TV. Match Game. The show, made famous by Gene Rayburn and his all-star panel of celebrities, was rebooted by ABC in 1990. Originally with Bert Convy as host, he was replaced by Ross Schaefer due to his health issues at the time. Many other regular panelists from the Gene Rayburn version, including Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers, would return. However, this version would only last about a year, ending in July of 1991. There would be several revisitations to the game, with the next one in line being the infamous Michael Berger version from 1998. You know how these things work. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and be subscribed so you'll continue to receive television nostalgia content from this channel. My name is Mark, and I thank you for watching.